This shows how much rubbish there is on social media, because they come to me and they say, shall I take my treatment or follow your diet?
There were people that they were needed to take medications after cancer, and they were telling them not to go for chemotherapy.
A super famous doctor in Greece who's on social media is actually not a doctor.
There's a site on BBC, 20 most important scientists in the world.
Is she there?
She was in there.
Oh my God.
She was claiming she had got awards from NASA. And she said, these awards don't exist. So I realized that the power of social media is massive.
Yeah.
And
so you took him down?
You know Mattel? That
Barbie?
makes Barbie.
Yeah.
So Mattel wanted to launch
Scientist Barbie.
Alternative Barbies, so role models for women of the future. Designed the Barbie for her.
No way. Welcome back to part 2 of the Eat, Burn, Sleep podcast. We are now jumping straight into the second part of this episode. If you haven't had a chance to listen to part 1, I invite you to go back and listen to it now. Let's continue the conversation and pick up right where we left off. So you grew up in Greece.
Yes.
You were interested in biology.
Yes.
How did you come to do this? I mean, it's so niche.
I studied food. I studied food science in the University of Thessaloniki, and then I decided to do my PhD in the Netherlands.
Okay.
At the end of the 90s, and this is actually when they started applying the high pressure. So my PhD happened to be on high pressure.
I see.
And Listeria, which is a deadly bacterium, it's quite dangerous. Yeah. So we tried to find out how we can kill Listeria. So I moved to Wageningen University in the Netherlands, where I did my PhD there. At the moment, it's the number 1 agricultural university in the world. So
amazing.
I was very lucky to go there. And I studied how we can do that. And then I moved to Bristol afterwards. I did my postdoc with Salmonella, tried to see how we can eliminate it with acids and antimicrobials. I looked also at disinfectants. Then I went to Galway, where I started in Ireland, where I started working.
I've been there. It's gorgeous.
It's very nice. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And we started looking at these acid mechanisms, acid resistance mechanisms. And then I ended up in Reading, University of Reading.
Amazing.
With a break. After my PhD, I went back to Greece for military service.
Back to reality.
Normal, yes. But it's interesting as well.
I mean, so many outbreaks in the army, so I'm sure you were very helpful there.
Yeah.
So the last time we met, you were talking to me, you said to me, this super famous doctor in Greece who's on social media is actually not a doctor.
I mean, yes. I mean, it's quite interesting. This story started with a friend of mine. So I had some friends from school, and they were sending me the videos from this doctor. And somehow we're about 30 people in the class, and we keep contact through social media. And about 5 of them send me videos of this guy. And I said, and they asked me, what do you think? I said, it's terrible. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And he was saying that he had, 3 or 4 degrees and PhDs. And I mean, it was obvious that it was lie, because there was not enough time in
his life
to have all these degrees, right? So I knew that it was fake. And because I thought myself, look, I mean, I have 5 out of the 30 friends that they are sending me these videos. And when I tell them it's wrong, they don't believe me. So I say, I'm professor, I'm lecturer, and I'm doing these things. But somehow, this guy has so much power.
Yeah.
And I realized, that he was actually making almost 1 video every day, or he was posting 1 video every day, or every 2 days. So I realized that the power of social media is massive.
Yeah.
And we probably make 2 or 3 videos per year. And the rest of the time we publish our work in papers that scientists read, but not the general public. It's a little bit difficult to communicate these things. So I got interested in this guy. just to prove to my friends, that
He's a fake.
that he's fake, which was very obvious, And but he was a big name. I mean, whenever he was talking, he could have 3,500 people
Wow.
listening to him, audience,
Yeah.
not online.
But
Physical presence.
For the general public, they probably can understand when he speaks, but they can't understand when you speak.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, exactly. Yeah. So he was saying he was speaking very nicely, and I can understand that why people were interested. But he was saying very bad things, and he was also responsible at a certain point. Okay, I mean, there were people that they were needed to take medications after cancer. And they were telling them not to go chemotherapies and things like that. And
that's bad.
Yeah, so we had situations like this. So anyway, I looked and I sent a message to a group of journalists in Greece. And I said, guys, this guy is not really. And it's quite interesting, but most of the journalists didn't want to deal with that. Even I was proving to them that it's wrong.
Wow.
They didn't want to deal with that. So there was at that time an independent group of journalists in Greece that they are very famous. They are called Hellenika hoaxes. So they are looking at hoaxes on the internet.
Yeah.
And I teamed up with them. And I actually gave them the original article and said, guys, are you interested? They said, yeah, we're very interested. And they published it.
So you took him down?
I took him down in a way. I mean, we made the start together with these guys because then but I made the original contact with the universities in Germany where he was saying he got degrees, and they told me, no, this guy has not. And this is one of the things which is quite interesting, that a lot of times the journalists find a brick wall when they contact universities if they want to find something like that.
Yes.
As an academic, they gave me an answer.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, this is another problem, that it seems to be laws that they don't allow a lot of times the university to release to release data, to release information if somebody has done a degree in that university or the other university. And that allows a lot of people to do what they do.
That's crazy.
So that might also be an important area where something can happen, like change of legislation, especially when we need to protect the lives of people.
So if I said that I had a PhD from the University of Reading, and I don't know, one of my podcasts...
I don't know about Reading, but a lot of times these journalists were actually finding very difficult
to get the information,
to get answers from the universities. The university, a lot of times, they don't want to release the information.
Interesting.
Because of laws, or because of privacy. We don't really want to release private information for people and things like that. And it becomes very, very difficult, and allows a lot of times people to do things like that. Another case, which was very interesting. So eventually, I think this guy was convicted.
Amazing.
In Greece.
Well done.
Yeah. So
well done.
We're quite happy for this. With colleague, especially Thanos Epaktitis and Thodoros Daniilidis back in Greece. So we worked, and it went to the courts. But another interesting case was Eleni Antoniadou. So we have a lot of interesting situations where, for example, other people, they might want to use the fame for political reasons or for something else. So we had the case of Eleni Antoniadou, in Greece, who had finished something like polytechnics in the past.
Yeah.
So in Greece, polytechnics. And then she was trying to get into the political scene, and she was pretending that she was a very big scientist. And our understanding is that she went to NASA for a few weeks, and she got a few terabytes of photographs. And she was presenting them for years and years, pretending that she's working for NASA. And she was able to manipulate journalists and politicians in Greece. She went for MSc, I think it was in UCL.
Yeah.
There she pretended that she had done the first transplantation of trachea, of artificial trachea. And this
is like Theranos.
It's exactly the same story.
Oh my
but
God.
but without all this money, although she had made a company, transplant without donors or something like that. So the idea was that a company would be able to make an organ
To grow an
for
organ
you,
in a lab.
for somebody,
Oh my goodness.
and then you would be able to do that. And she was in the lab that was involved with the trachea transplantations of Macchiarini. This is probably one of the biggest scandals in science, where an Italian doctor was actually making transplantations of tracheas.
Okay, I don't know about this scandal.
You don't know that?
No. What
Yeah, so he
happened?
was making transplantations of tracheas that they were artificial. So he was
Okay.
finding people that they had either lost their trachea through an accident or from cancer.
And saying they were actually from a dead human?
No, they were not from a dead
Okay.
human. They were making tracheas from their own cells.
Okay.
And they were building them
Yeah.
like with their own cells. They were making an artificial trachea and they were putting it there into the patient through an operation. Somehow, though, I can get in details, but so the technique was wrong, and they haven't tried it first in animals, which is no, it's terrible. You need first to try it in animals and then go to humans, otherwise. So what was going on? It was that the tracheas were collapsing and people were asphyxiated and dying, but it was happening slowly. It was not really happening immediately. So
goodness.
some of them were living for a few months, but then they were dying.
So she was linked to this guy.
She in Greece, she was mentioning that she was responsible for this, but actually she was an MSc in the lab that stayed only for a couple of months. She hadn't really done anything. But back in Greece, he was actually going into journalists and say, I was responsible for that. And it was quite surreal because in one case, the patient had died and she was appearing 2 years later saying on the big TV program, that the patient is actually thanking her for his survival. And she had got prizes. This woman had got prizes from ministers of education. 2 ministers of education gave her prizes. And I actually did the whole investigation.
Big scale fraud.
I mean, it is. If you see, there is a site on BBC that said the 20 most important scientists in the world.
Is she there?
She was in there.
Oh my God.
She was in there. Most promising female scientists with just 3 papers. And she was not even first author. And Mattel, Mattel, that
Barbie?
makes Barbie.
Yeah.
So Mattel wanted to launch a new
Scientist Barbie.
scientist Barbies, exactly, and or not scientists, actually alternative Barbies, so role models
Okay.
for women
Yeah.
of the future, and designed the Barbie for her.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my
It was a limited run.
This is a movie.
This is a movie. It's crazy.
And?
And then I actually started contacting all these people because a friend of mine said, look at this person. What's going on here? So I started making an investigation. It's quite interesting. I sent an email actually to Stamatis Krimizis. Stamatis Krimizis is actually one of the biggest scientists in NASA. He is the principal investigator of the 2 Voyagers.
Yeah.
We're talking about a very big scientist, probably
Yeah.
top 3, top 5 in NASA. And I asked him because she was saying, I'm working in NASA. And I said, probably he's not going to answer back. And the next day, I received an email, which is very long. And he was aware. He said, this person is not really working here. We're not aware. Because he was claiming she had got awards from NASA. And he said, these awards don't exist. She's making them up.
Oh my God.
And he congratulated me for the work, and all the effort that I'm
uncovering.
putting. Yeah, because, I mean...
It gives a bad name to science.
Yeah, it's terrible having somebody, like that, trying to to manipulate,
But the worst
So-
is what you mentioned, that, that guy who told people with cancer don't have the treatment.
Exactly.
That's horribly cruel, because you're
it's-
playing with lives.
Yes, exactly. What she was doing she was using the fame, and she was somehow manipulating, but also she was involved in institutions
Wow.
and causing.
But you know
some
what's
problem
crazy
there.
is, so I'm on social media, as you know, where I share everything that I do. But I also am someone I was a patient. So I was in hospital, and I know how sensitive the human body is. And so my first approach is very much like a doctor: first, do no harm. So all my advice is so moderate. Less is more. I'm always very careful. And oftentimes I have people who come to me with a diagnosis, and they say to me, and this shows how much rubbish there is on social media, because they come to me and they say, shall I take my treatment or follow your diet?
Yes,
And I say, it is not mutually exclusive.
exactly.
I am not qualified to give you medical advice. So you follow your doctor's medical advice. And my advice is to follow what your doctor says and to do as you're told. And I'm here as a support function to try and reset the immune system, to try and enhance the response from your body and try and detoxify, help you get rid of the toxins and the side effects of the treatment.
A lot of times the problem is that, especially with food, there are quite a lot of controversial studies.
Yes.
And I can understand that.
Yeah.
In our area, with food pathogens, things are a little bit more clear.
Yes.
In a way. But I see, in the area of diet and probiotics, a lot of things are a little bit prebiotics. There are a lot of controversial studies there. Sometimes, to do a study, you need to take a specific number of people, and a lot of times we have smaller studies that they might contradict something else. We also have the factor of genetics as well.
Of course.
This is something interesting as well. A lot of times, a lot of the studies that we see are coming from US, UK.
Male on men more than women, oftentimes.
Exactly. And a lot of times, the genetic background of other people is very different.
Absolutely.
Right? So what we say about, I don't know, the Inuit people, it's a very typical example. The diet is very, very heavy on fat.
Yes.
Somehow, I think I was looking at it a few years ago. The life expectancy is very similar to Canadians.
Interesting.
Although the diet is it's fat,
Yeah.
a lot of fat,
But
with obviously, different types of.
Yeah, but cholesterol is probably more caused by sugar than fat. If you're having animal fat and barely any sugar, you're probably healthier.
But they don't eat any plant food as well, because there is nothing up there in terms of plant.
Yeah, but again, the microbiome adapts. So each person.
Or genetics.
Yes.
These people have been living there for thousands of years. So I don't know. I'm not. It's not my area, so I don't really want to make assumptions. But for sure, genetics play a role. Where your environment somehow is playing a role.
Absolutely.
What genes you have. So a lot of times we have these studies that they come from specific parts of the world, but they might not be adapted to a specific country. Like, I don't know, India or China.
But that's why I tell people to always. So there is the theory, but then there is how your body reacts, and your gut bacteria evolves all the time. So what worked yesterday might not work tomorrow, and vice versa.
Exactly,
Things you couldn't tolerate yesterday work today. Things move. It's in eternal motion.
Another example from a completely different area, we have, the climate change.
Yes.
So we have quite a lot of data coming from the US and UK and Northern Europe, and what we should do about this, but it's quite interesting. For example, I hear a lot of times in Greece, we need to do this and we need to do that. But it's interesting, but in Greece, for example, most of the animals are living on the mountains.
Yes.
A lot of things, that we assume we should do, they're not applicable because
The environment
we
is
take data from countries where we take land that could be used to produce wheat or corn, and we put animals there.
Yeah.
While in Greece, the animals live in places where you wouldn't be able to produce
grow.
anything because they are on the mountains.
Very interesting.
So a lot of times we get data, right, and we use them. Oh, we need to do that, but the environment is very different. You're in a completely different environment. So, and that's a typical example. Like people say, we need to release land in Greece. But if you have 90% of your animals on a mountain, actually, it's not posing such a threat, or it just doesn't put so much problem in sustainability.
So the data always needs to be analyzed.
You need to understand where the data comes from.
And is it applicable? Or just like at the beginning of the podcast, you said these are the cases that are recorded.
Exactly.
Then we don't know what is not recorded. So
we don't know what's
so all this data we have, all these studies, you have to take it with a pinch of salt and try and analyze. It's not set in stone.
Exactly. But also with the medicines, when you give medicine, you don't always get the same response.
Absolutely.
Which is even more studied, right?
Correct. That's it. I was talking to a private client yesterday. I was saying to her, I said, medicine is not an exact science, because two people with the same diagnosis will have a completely different reaction to the same medical treatment.
Exactly.
So you have to see how the body reacts, and at the end of the day, we're all different, but we're trying the best we can with the information we have.
Exactly. So that's something that we need always to, and I think it's also something interesting for science to look, what we should look in the future, especially nowadays that we have made a lot of advancements, especially, yes. I don't know if you were aware of the Nobel Prize, where we can now know the structure of the proteins.
Yes.
With AI.
Yeah.
AI has been used for that. So that can help us identify mechanisms. And by knowing the mechanisms, we can be able to understand better and eliminate these unknowns. There's a
lot of promise about AI, but I was looking at the latest stats. Because, listen, I have a website. We're rebuilding it. I'm struggling to get humans to finish it, let alone an AI machine, okay? So I was just looking at the stats. Out of 100 companies in AI, only 5% make money. 95% don't. And out of all the companies who test AI for their own needs, so for example, do I want to add a chat bot on my website? Mm-hmm. Only 40% end up applying AI. So my view on this is that it is definitely very promising, but we're at the beginning. Because it is
we're at the beginning,
on
definitely.
what we feed it. And
exactly. So I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert in AI, so I really don't know. But I know how it played a very big role in understanding all the proteins.
Yes.
How how they are made, how they are looking in a 3D model, and that's very, very important. So that's something that AI has helped. But as well, AI a lot of times needs to be connected with something, because AI is just giving an assessment, or it says, I found this, but then this needs to be analyzed, connected with something.
Yes.
So a friend of mine was saying, okay, AI cannot actually collect the potatoes and the carrots and the food we eat, It can do specific jobs. Or if it wants to do it, it needs to be connected with the machine.
I like your friend.
and I can understand. I think AI needs in order to do something, needs a very big investment. And not everything we do can be done with very big investments.
Correct.
So there is still a lot of room.
Just like the high pressure that took 100 years.
Yes.
Sometimes we have the tool, but it takes time to refine it.
Exactly. Yeah. For example, it took many, many years for this technique, going back to high pressure, it took many, many years for this technique to be applied in juices.
Yes.
And okay, AI could help, but the interesting thing is that companies were not sure that consumers would actually pay more for a juice.
So interesting.
And that was, although the technique was there, they were very reluctant to implement it because there was this idea, now, for example, if it's £1, the juice, would the consumer pay double, £2 for a juice?
To have a fresher juice.
Yeah. And for many years, the idea was, no, they are not going to pay that. Why they would do that? But apparently, there is a market and people pay.
Yes.
And eventually they started using it. And
although I would tell people just eat the fruit, much better for you.
Obviously. I'm more for the fruit, obviously, because the juice is concentrated. You get a lot of sugar. That's probably
Absolutely.
from 3 or 4 fruits.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help so much the digestion.
And you don't have the fiber.
Exactly.
The release
for the digestion as well.
Yeah.
So I'm always
up for the
in
fruits.
favor. Yes, 1 fruit, 2 fruits, much better.
Andreas, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
It's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for what you've done for the science world and
thanks a lot
for calling out these 2 people. If I see somebody,
it's more people. These are 2 examples. We had more people that they were taking, that they were selling. Doctors that they were selling drugs that they were not approved.
Well done.
Sometimes it was water.
Amazing. Well done.
Things like that, So it's not only these
we
2,
know
but these
who
are
to
2
contact. If we see somebody, we know who to contact.
Yes, I'll be happy to investigate.
Thank you so much for all your wisdom. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you very much, Yalda.
Thank you so much to all of you for listening to this podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. It's always such a pleasure to talk about health because it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Looking after our health is a daily thing, just like brushing our teeth. We've got to focus on it, we've got to do it right so we can live better and happier lives. For those of you who are not members of the platform yet, we have a discount code for all our podcast listeners. You can get 15% off the memberships. Just enter the code podcast15 at checkout. And make sure to read all the articles and all the free content we have on eatburnsleep.com to keep you motivated and informed and educated about living an anti-inflammatory lifestyle.